This is who I choose to be. Sometimes less than.
Welcome to the Vibrational Alchemy Podcast. This is Penny Fisher, and we are so glad you are joining us for this week's episode. Hey, everybody. So good to have you here. Happy that you're joining us for yet another episode and able to hang out with us today. I want to just take a quick minute to thank everybody who's been joining us each week and tell you how grateful I am for your feedback. One of the things that I've heard from some folks is that there are times when I will refer to resources and people aren't quite sure what they are. So in particular, in the last few episodes, I've referred to, and I'm air quoting now, the manual and the class. So I just wanted to be really clear to you about what those are. Let me just adjust this a little. What those are, the manuals are documents that I created for a series of classes about archangels. They're mine. I haven't published them yet, so they're really not available anywhere. But it does remind me to let you know that in January, I'm going to be offering a free workshop. This will be this January, 2024. And the workshop is going to go into much more depth about the material in the manuals, but through the lens of the cosmic matrix. So stay tuned because I'll have more information for you in mid-December about date and time for the workshop and how to register. Okay. So let's get back to today's focus, the episode for today's podcast. Today's episode is entitled The Light of the Cosmic Matrix. And when I was working on the title, I thought, wow, this feels a little redundant, right? We've already been talking about the cosmic matrix, and we know it's this infinite flow of unconditional love. It's very often experienced as light, at least that's how I experience it. But I want to talk to you today. I want to take a little bit of a deeper dive, and I want to talk to you a little bit today about the quality of that light and how it informs your perception of yourself as an aspect of the divine, of source, of creator, of all that is, and how that shift in your perception can help you navigate your everyday realities. All right. And I'm going to do this a little differently than I've done in the last few weeks. I'm going to actually today be sharing some snippets of channeled messages, information that I've received from ascended being and archangels. And then I'll talk more about those messages and how they relate to the things that we deal with in our everyday lives, right? Wouldn't it be great if we were just completely and always in the flow? Life was easy peasy, lemon squeezy, but we know that that's not true, right? So often we feel angry, we feel afraid, especially now we're feeling surrounded by political energies, social energies that are not in alignment with the way that we see the world. And we are left with the challenge of how to navigate those things. This work with the cosmic matrix is a way that helps us to navigate these challenges, these heavy emotions, with more ease and more grace. And at least for me, I know when I came into this work and my very first teacher, big shout out to my friend and sister, Rosa Haritos of Healing Channels. Rosa asked me why I was there. And I said to her, I really don't know. I just know that I want to be at peace. And so this work with the cosmic matrix has the potential to lead us into a deeper space of peace. So, So that's where we're heading today. Before we jump in, I do want to talk about two things. I want to talk about, I just mentioned ascended beings, and I mentioned this idea of channeling. So let's start with this idea of ascended beings. In the mystery schools, both ancient and more contemporary, these ascended beings are often referred to as a collective and known as the hierarchy of light. And this is how I have come to know them. This is how I have worked with them. And these are disincarnate beings, right? So they're no longer in physical form. They have no need of a physical body or the human experience. They've ascended. And they are pure love. There's no other way to describe them. They are wise. They are loving. Sometimes they can be humorous. And they are, without exception, deeply, deeply devoted to assisting us in remembering who we are, in remembering that we are, in fact, aspects of the divine. The hierarchy of light includes angels, archangels, and ascended masters. Ascended masters are beings who once walked the earth in human form. So you might think about Yeshua. Many of us know him as Jesus. You might think about the Buddha. You might think about Saint Germain, Kuan Yin, loving gods and goddesses. Well, gods and goddesses aren't ascended masters, but they also can be included under the umbrella of the hierarchy of light. Okay, so these are the beings that I work with, and I'd like to share their wisdom and their love with you. And channeling refers to the ability to communicate with these beautiful beings of pure love and light. In my experience and the way that I've been taught, channeling can look like many different things to many different people. It can feel like a conversation between you and these beings. It can be those moments when you receive signs from the universe. So like you're having a rough day and the absolute right and perfect song unexpectedly pops up on your playlist, right? Or you're talking with a friend who's really in need, and all of a sudden there are these words flowing out of your mouth, and it's the exact right thing to say, exactly what they needed to hear. And you don't know where it came from. You don't know how it showed up, but it did, right? It can be creating a beautiful flower arrangement, or holding space for somebody maybe in a store who's having a difficult day and just seeing the light inside them, right? All of these are ways of communicating and bringing through this unconditional love that the hierarchy of light, these beings have for us, and that they quite frankly just want to share with us. And remember too that one of the laws of the universe is free will choice. So if we want help and assistance from these beings, it's incumbent upon us to ask them for it. They cannot interfere in our lives unless we invite them in. And at least my experience has been, it's always a really good decision to invite them into your beautiful space. So again, circling back to this idea about the cosmic matrix and specifically the light vibrations that emanate from the cosmic matrix. I want to start by sharing just a really short snippet of a message that I received from Master Yeshua, or Jesus. In this message, in this conversation, he was talking about creation and how Source decided that it wanted to know itself. And so Source, this pure vibration of love that emanates as light and sound, right, chose to send its essence through a prism. And what I've been told is that this prism is called the prism of creation. And just like when we choose to shine a light through an actual prism, and the light breaks up and becomes the colors of the rainbow, right? The light of Source was refracted into rays of different colors, and each one of those rays holds a different vibration, a very specific vibration. So one ray will hold the vibration of unconditional love, one will hold the one ray will hold the energy of service, one will hold the energy of ascension, right? And so one will hold the energy of divine power. So this is how Source chose to know itself. And what Yeshua told me in this time of automated writing was this. He said, in the time before time, as the light of the heavens swirled and coalesced, they passed as through a prism, creating energetic frequencies of exquisite creation. Within these frequencies was the possibility, the potential of all that is known to you on earth at this time, and much that is not known but exists far beyond your planet and your experience and your knowing. These potentialities, simply put, were an invitation from souls from throughout all places of existence to incarnate onto earth to experience much needed lessons. And so when we heard this call, we, hanging out in our beautiful home up in the ethers where everything is light and love, we chose to come here to this playground that we call Earth, to work with this illusion of duality, right? This illusion that we're separate from Source, that there are actually opposing forces. And we chose to work with them so that we can remember who we truly are. And I think it was last week we talked about how we come to know what light is because we've experienced darkness, right? We know what love is because we've experienced fear. We know what compassion is because we've experienced judgment. And so just as Source chose to separate itself, right, which it isn't separated, it just created this experience so that it could know itself, we choose to spend time in this space of duality so that we can know what is of the divine and what is not, and to remember that we are truly, truly humans having a human experience, but in reality, much of the experience that we engage with here on our journey is really an illusion, are designed to help us remember who we really are and to allow us to reconnect with this source energy, to know that we are of the divine, and to remember that we are one with all that is. I don't know about you. It makes my heart sing. It just, I don't know. That one reduces me to tears. So that's why we're here. And then I want to pick up with this idea about the light of the cosmic matrix, right? How does that figure in? So there's another channeled message, and I want to share a piece of it from a beautiful Egyptian goddess. Her name is Bastet. She's the one that appears as a cat with a cat head. I love her. She works with the vibration of love through sound, which again makes my heart sing. Anyhow, so this is what Bastet shared with me, and I believe it's time to share it with all of you. And she said this: as the light of all that is fractured into form so that it might know itself, each aspect of the light retained within it all that is. Just as you have come to know that when cells divide, they do not become less than, so too it was with all that is. And as this consciousness moved from formlessness into form, so too it retained its essence. Therefore, do you see how you are all that is of the all that is? You hold within you all knowledge, all power, all light, indeed, all love of the all that is. So, yeah, we experience duality here on this plane. We experience light and dark, masculine and feminine, joy and sorrow, fear and love, compassion and judgment. And these are all part of our human experience. And it would be really lovely if we stayed in that beautiful place of rainbows and unicorns, and life was just a beautiful flow of joy and love and kumbaya. I mean, hopefully that's where we're heading, right? Our reality, however, is that we really do get kind of bombarded sometimes by these shadow aspects. And let's be honest, it when we're in the midst of that, it feels awful. It feels really crappy when we're in those spaces. And the work with the cosmic matrix, and we talked about this, I think, last week, if not the week before, helps us to remember that even though we feel like we're being bombarded and we're sometimes, I'll be honest, I can only talk about myself. Sometimes I feel like I'm drowning in it. We are reminded that these heavy emotions are actually just gifts. And yeah, they're not wrapped the way we thought they'd be. They are not. They don't have beautiful ribbons and bows on them. But they are, in fact, opportunities. They are reminders for us to use the tools that we've developed. Now, we live in an amazing time where there are so many tools available to us. So check in with yourself. What's your go-to tool when you're in that space? Do you go to the breath? Are you a yogi? Do you head for meditation? Do you use mantras or affirmations, maybe Reiki, maybe you listen to beautiful music or go for a walk in nature. All of these are these amazing tools that help us to reconnect and to distance ourselves from those heavy emotions. It reminds us that we are not those emotions. It lets us move into the space of the observer, right? And truthfully, English, the actual language of English, makes it really difficult for us to do that. So if we think about times that we're angry, what do we say? I am angry, right? We identify with that anger. In the Romance languages, the grammatical structure is different, super cool, at least I think it is. That the grammatical structure actually is translated as I am having anger, I am having grief, I am having frustration. You see the difference? It's subtle, but we're not identifying with those heavy emotions. We're simply allowing ourselves to have them, right? And as we do this, we allow ourselves to remember that we are love and we are loved. Pure and simple, mic drop. I mean, right? That's it. And when we do this, when we remove ourselves from a connection to and an identification with the heavy emotions, we're able to find a pathway through the pain, through the anger and the frustration and the fear. And we're able to activate, to open ourselves up to the flow of the energies of the cosmic matrix so that they can come into our being, into our bodies, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies, and begin to heal us where we need healing. And so if you think about this idea of contraction and expansion, right, that might help a little bit. So let's put it in really day-to-day terms. Let's think about a garden hose, right? You go outside, you're ready to water your garden, and you turn the water on, pick up the hose, depress the lever, and no water comes out. And when you trace the hose back, you discover there's a kink in the hose. Because there's a kink in the hose, because the hose is contracted, the water cannot flow through it. Okay. When we are in a place of contraction, when we are judging ourselves, when we're so angry we can't think straight, when we're in fear, when we're in grief, it's harder for the energies of the cosmic matrix to flow. So the more that we can use those tools, our yoga practice, our breath work, our Reiki, our walks in nature, the more that we can use those to distance ourselves from the heavy emotion, the more that we can allow the flow of the unconditional love of the cosmic matrix to enter into us. And we know that that vibration triggers healing, mental healing, emotional healing, spiritual healing, and sometimes even physical healing. We've all heard and seen examples of people having been healed from crazy things, right? And this is the kind of healing, whatever it is for you, and you might not even know what it is in the moment, right? There might be no observable, discernible shift or change. But we can trust that as this flow of unconditional love from the heart of the great cosmos, the cosmic heart, this beautiful space that holds the unconditional love of Source, flows toward us, that we are one with Source. That's the healing that takes place. All of those wounds, all of those places of thinking we're less than, we're not good enough, they all kind of disappear. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to talk a little bit about working with our ego selves, right? And I want to remind all of us here about the power of the cosmic heart. Again, it's this space that holds the vibration of all of those rays of Source, and therefore the fullness of the reality of pure Source energy, right? The potential of this work with the cosmic matrix is, it's beautiful. And we talked a little bit about that space of bliss last week, right? This is a way we start to move toward it. And as we do, we become more and more adept at it. And so I would invite you to allow yourself, even if it's 5 minutes a day, friends, just time to drop down into your heart and allow the flow of these infinitely loving energies to infuse you in a way that is for your highest good. Because that's the space we want to be in, right? When we talked about bliss, we were reminded that that's not an every minute of everyday state for us as humans. That's not what we signed up for. But I will tell you that the more we open up to the flow of these energies, the easier it is to move through these times of challenge with more ease and more grace, right? I had a situation, it was a couple of months ago now, I guess, where my husband of many years, we just celebrated our 39th wedding anniversary, said something to me that triggered me. Ooh, it was not pretty. I do not remember what it was that he said, but I lost it. And brilliant man who does his own work every day, his internal work, simply walked away from me and went into another room, which was exactly what he should have done. And I went to my breath. That's my go-to. I breathed for a few minutes. And then, full disclosure, it was definitely through gritted teeth, but I went into the room where he was and I said to him, "Thank you so much for giving me space. This wasn't about you. This is definitely something I need to look at in me. So I'm going to go into the other room and just sit with this. I love you." Like I was doing everything I could not to let my anger come out at him, because it wasn't about him, right? And as I sat and brought in the light and allowed this love to infuse me, I could actually feel those energies flowing out of me right down into the earth. I never knew specifically what the actual trigger was, or what the wound was, or the lesson I needed to learn. But I do know that in subsequent situations where I could feel the trigger come up, like I could feel it, I was able to much more easily go to breath and relax and bring in the light, so that it could almost act like this beautiful shower, right? This beautiful cleansing inside of me. And then later on, I was able to look at the anger and what the trigger was, and use those tools, right? Okay. So I want to leave you with a channeled message from a beautiful and ancient archangel, Archan Barbelo. For those of you who are walking or driving while listening, a little heads up. Archon Barbelo is going to offer us a practice to help us connect with the cosmic matrix more deeply, to fill our hearts so that the light and the vibration of the cosmic matrix can actually spill out into the world. So when you get to that point in the message, just listen to it, absorb it, and then go back to it later to actually do the practice. Please do not try this practice when you need to have your focus on the road or the path that you're walking on. Okay? All right. So this is the message from Archon Barbelo. She says, "You are light. It is from light that you have come, and to light that you now return. The light beckons you. It calls, it sings to your very soul, 'Come, dance with me.' And in the spinning and wheeling and ecstasy of this dance, release your memories of fear and enslavement. Feel this. Feel this deeply as water rushing from your being, from your very DNA. For this release allows space for the restructuring of your DNA, as your essence realigns itself with the codes of light that will awaken the memories in you of your true being, for you are light. Your 144-strand DNA calls to you now. It stirs with urgency, demanding your attention, demanding to be reconnected with your divine soul purpose, the very reason you incarnated onto this earth plane in this lifetime. For you are here to be the bridge between worlds, to bring form to what has been perceived as formless, to bring illumination to all who are ready to receive." And here's the practice part, folks, okay? She says, "Picture a waterfall cascading from the heavens. See the waters that flow toward you as a rainbow of light. Colors you have only imagined, in truth have known but forgotten, and are now remembering. Embedded and flowing within the power of the pristine light from the pure heart of the cosmic mother. See it, feel it, experience the power of it flowing and leaping and dancing from the heavens. Turn your gaze upwards now. Can you sense the source of this waterfall of light? It is beyond all time and space, beyond all that is known and unknown, beyond the Ancient of Days. It is my heart, the cosmic heart, formless and pure, of love and light, from which this river emanates. Long have you dreamed of this, my children, longing for the nameless sense of belonging and oneness and completion that hovered at the edges of your consciousness. Before time, before thought, before being, before all form, this is the home which you long to remember, and that calls to you now to awaken. The darkness surrounding you at this time is vast but not impenetrable. The light within you is enough. You are enough. Allow your heart light to begin to pulse gently, emanating waves of love and gratitude, as if a small pebble were dropped into the pool created by the river of light. Allow these emanations to travel out as far as feels comfortable for you. Then allow them to become strong and stable, not fixed or inflexible, but clear and true. This practice is much needed at this time to allow you to reconnect with the primordial spaciousness that is the light, that is you. Your courage and willingness to be on this journey is seen throughout the cosmos and honored by all who witness your loving hearts. We send you our gratitude and our unfailing love and support, which know no boundaries. We hold you gently in our loving embrace. Call on us for support, and it will be so, for you are so loved. And I hope you know, each and every one of you, how much I love you, how grateful I am to be in the space with you. And I thank you once again for joining us for this episode of Vibrational Alchemy. Sending you love and hugs.
This is who I choose to be. This is who I choose to be.